everybody. Welcome to Meet the Neighbours. And I know you're thinking to yourself right now, that lovely voice is not a Scottish Australian accent. That's because this is Quick Smoke, and today we are interviewing that lovely Scottish Aussie accent, G4. Hello, G4. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm nervous because I don't know where you're going to go with this, but all good, guys. How you doing?
I'll try to be gentle, but
You won't be.
probably not. So let's start off with the very basics. Where do you currently live, sir?
I live in sunny Australia, and just before we get into that, I'd like to just preface this by saying I've asked Mikey to do this because it was requested by the community, but I have no idea what he's going to ask me. So, okay, so I live in sunny Australia. I live on the east coast in Sydney, and yeah, it's a great place. I've been here over 30 years now, and was the best, absolute best choice I made and best thing that I ever did in my life coming to Australia and settling here. So there you go, mate.
What made you well, if you don't know, guys, that's not quite an Australian accent, and I did hint on that earlier. So where were you born?
I was born in a little Scottish country town in the southern part of Scotland, a little country town with a population of about 17,000 people. It was an industrial little place that had one kind of industry in it, and yeah, it was a great place. It's a little country town. It had lots of factory workers, lots of farmers. Rugby union was predominantly the sport that you played growing up, and yeah, it was just one of those lovely places. And when I do this, when we play this back, you'll get to see some photos probably, but now or just before of what that looks like. But yeah, grew up in Scotland, left in my early 20s, and went on an adventure, on a quest, if you like, and ended up in Sydney.
So what you're saying was your town didn't look like it did in William Wallace. It was more,
I was a bit more
more,
a bit more refined then.
a
Yeah,
bit more refined. Yeah.
we had
So
like
that being,
we had
go ahead.
electricity and stuff,
Oh, you okay?
and running
So you
water.
didn't have to go. I was gonna say you didn't have to go out and pump your water and
Oh no,
go.
oh no,
They may take our land, but they never take our freedom.
that's the
Because you're
one. No, we no, but there's still a bit of that in Scottish people to this day, mate. So,
do they still hold a grudge towards the English over there?
oh, maybe. It's to explain that it's kind of one of those things that is passed on from generation to generation. In as much as don't forget your history, and this is what happened. And yeah, when
Well, I strongly believe in that. You can't forget your history and where you come from.
no, but when British people go on holiday, usually in Spain or in June, July, August, and drink starts to happen, yeah, some of that comes out. So,
Then the soccer hooligans come out.
oh well, to
They mix with the rugby hooligans, and oh boy.
oh well. Most time we get along, but there's the occasional hiccup. So let's just put it that way.
So that being said, what made you take that sabbatical or journey, as you will, from Scotland to Australia? Because I mean that's a pretty long haul.
It was love, Mikey.
Oh,
Now, actually,
the old tale of love.
there was a couple of reasons. So my wife of 30 odd years grew up here. She grew up in Australia, and but her parents were Scottish, so we met in Scotland, and she was extremely homesick. But at the same time, where I grew up was, you could really see that there was a limit to what you could achieve and what you could do. And since visiting back there, I can see I made the right decision. So there really was not too far as a career was some kind of career path. It was you were always going to have to move somewhere, and for some reason, Australia was. I had when I was in primary school. I don't know what do you call the early schools in America.
Well, we had kindergarten, elementary, middle, then high.
Okay, so elementary. So when I was in elementary school, I actually had a teacher who was from New Zealand, and she had quite a profound effect on me. So I'd always been kind of interested in that part of the world, and sunny beaches, the sun. I was sick of the sideways rain in Scotland, and I remember the kind of turning point was I was going to work in the winter on night shift, and the rain was hitting me sideways, and it was freezing, and my face was going numb, and I went, you know what? That's enough. I'm out of here. I've got to do something. So I went off to the sun, and we stopped in Singapore on the way through, and that was quite a baptism of fire. Actually, walking from a winter time into what is essentially right on the equator and feels like an oven, hot and humid, and it rains between 2 and 4. So yeah, it was a fun adventure to come over to Australia. But yeah, we pretty much sold everything we had, and off we went.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Big gamble.
Yeah, I would say so.
Knew nobody here apart from my wife had a couple of relatives here, but most of her relatives and people we knew and friends were all in Scotland. So we went complete cold turkey, took a risk, and it paid off big time for us. So
Well, good for you. Good for you. So let's talk about your decisions here. If you people don't know,
oh dear,
Gaming for XP is a YouTuber.
Sometimes, allegedly.
What? How long have you been doing YouTube?
So I've been doing YouTube for a little over 3 years now, and yeah, it's. I guess you're going to ask me why I started YouTube. Hint, hint.
Yes.
So I guess around 2015ish. So my channel should have been up a year before it was, but I spent so much time playing around with things and trying to capture footage. And back then I had a laptop and I was screen capturing, and that was pretty much how I captured my footage. So I'd done a lot of testing for about 6 to 12 months before I actually put the channel together. And in that time, Fallout 4 came out. I was playing Fallout 4. I was watching a number of people that many of us would have been watching around that time playing Fallout. And then suddenly I started to watch these build videos. I started to play around with the build component of Fallout 4, and I went, compared to the builds that I'm watching with some of the YouTubers, and it's all the usual suspects, as many of you would know who I'm talking about. I thought, maybe somebody would be interested in me sharing a few of the builds that I've done, and that's sort of where it all started from. And so yeah, it's kind of evolved from there.
What was your first video that you put up?
I thought it was the police station build, but I don't think it was. I think the first build was either the police station or the railway bar. So I made a bar at a railway carriage. I think it was one of those, I think.
So your very very first video you ever posted on YouTube was Fallout?
Yes, it was.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and
awesome.
Yeah, go back and watch it. It's dodgy audio and all kinds of stuff, and but you know what? It's funny. Back then, the community was a lot stronger than it seems to be at the moment, and but it's funny. It goes Fallout 4's. It's been a strange ride because it seems to come in waves. You get a lot of views on builds, and then it drops off, and then it picks up, and it drops off. But back then, and if a number of you would know this, if you were part of the Reddit community, and that's where the Fallout Reddit community, it's where I've met a lot of people initially that have been with the channel since day one, or within the first 6 months. you would be getting 5, 6, 700 views on your videos every single week. But some of those first builds actually still people are still watching them today. So
Mm.
it's a testament to the longevity of the building component of Fallout 4, I think.
Well, I can say it's not the quantity of this community that I love; it's the quality of this community.
Absolutely.
We have an amazing community, which has expanded to other communities, and it's lovely. It really is. It's amazing to watch.
Well, I've got to say, I totally agree with you. I've met so many great people in the last 3 years, and that kind of keeps you going as far as doing YouTube and generating content. It's interacting with the community, and I think you and I have spoke about it in the past. We probably would never find each other if it hadn't been for this medium.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely. It's funny. I actually found you by accident.
oh, I'm sorry about
Um, Yeah, I remember it very, very distinctly because you were asking, like, I forget how I was recommended you. I can't remember if I found you through someone or if in a search, or I think I found you through the community. I just happened on one of your streams, and you were asking people what to build in, I want to say it was the train station outpost.
that. Yep,
Um,
Oberlund. Yeah.
Oberlin, yeah. And I was like, well, why don't you build a guard shack? And then we just hit it off from there. You're like, you acknowledged me right away, and you're like, yeah, let's do that. And you did it, and we've been mates ever since.
I think, and it's good to hear that, Mikey, because I've always been about that as far as my channel goes, and about now with this tool with Discord and whatever. But I've always been about that. Some degree, your YouTube channel is not your YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel, and try and say that when you've had a few drinks, is more about the content that you put out and what people want to watch. And that's what I always loved about those live streams I used to do on a Saturday morning, Friday night for you guys. Was we just got on, we started building, and people generated ideas, and I would go, okay, yeah, let's try that, and it would take us in a direction, and it was all kind of unscripted, unplanned, and we just hung out, and I was always happy to take people's ideas and see what I could do with it, and if I fast forward to this year. And I look at the Grey Gardens settlement, exactly the same thing has happened. That whole idea of how we built at Grey Gardens this year, we're fixing up the Commonwealth, all came from the community's suggestions. And that's probably one of my favourite builds in the last 3 years. So there you go.
Now, I'm looking at your channel here, and it says you have 876 videos. So this next question is going to be really, really difficult here.
Mm-hmm.
What is your absolute favorite video that you've put up yourself?
Every one I've done is the answer to that. I enjoy, the reason I do YouTube is I enjoy putting the content together. I enjoy if you're a YouTuber and you're like you're just chucking it up for the sake of chucking it up on the channel, you've missed the mark. I've loved every one of them. I got to say, I do like, if I had a preference, if you really pushed me on this, I do like putting together the video, and it's more not the specific video, but the video type. I like putting together videos that will help people. So the game guide series, the how-to series. I've actually had a lot of fun doing the vlog type videos this year, which is something new to the channel. And yeah, the Great Sausage.
If you guys haven't seen it, sorry, don't mean to interrupt. If you guys haven't seen his how-tos or how to check him out, because he is very, very thorough on them. Very thorough.
And thank you, Mikey. I appreciate that. Who can forget the Great Sausage Debate of 2019? It's going to go down in YouTube history, that one. But that was actually, and you would know this, Mikey, you've done a few cooking videos this year. Cooking videos are not easy to make.
No.
Not at all. But I loved the challenge of doing it, actually, to be honest. If you could see the opposite side of the camera, it was just a hot mess. But yeah, that's the beauty of what we do. You don't see any of that. It all looks slick, hopefully, or not sometimes. And that's another thing that I've tried to be conscious of doing. I don't try to be the guy who's the perfect YouTuber. In fact, I think there's something quite nice about not getting things right. But anyway, you know, and I think for the 717 subscribers we've got, I thank you very much, because obviously there's something in this kind of weird Scottish Australian guy that you see that you enjoy. So yeah, just keep that happening, I guess. But yeah,
I think it's a gorgeous smile.
oh, it's just my personality. Some people like my feet apparently, but we just leave it. I have no idea. That's the weird thing about doing YouTube. It takes you in so many. The weird thing and the good thing about doing YouTube, it's just it takes you in different directions, and so it's very similar to Fallout 4 building. It can take you in so many different directions creatively. So I've had a huge amount of fun, and people ask me to do stuff, and I'm going, yeah, why not? We'll do that. So my challenge to the community next year, as I said on the stream the other day, is we're going to do a community singing challenge.
Oh, oh, Jesus! When you get both of us together, that's going to be quite a duet.
We'd like to see that playlist. And people are going to sit there and not know if I'm serious or not. But anyway, we're just going to leave it there.
So gaming for XP, I mean, we all call you G4 for sure, but gaming for XP, where did that come from?
Okay, so as I said earlier, it took me a good 12 months to try and get to the point where I felt confident about the quality of the channel, and it's just the way I am. I like to experiment and find ways of doing things before I actually do them. So during that 12 months, I was like, oh, geez, I've got to come up with a name for the channel. And so I went through and there was a whole lot of iterations of the channel name, but I thought, what exactly do I do as a gamer? And that's where the name came from. I game to gain XP. That's what we do generally. It's what we do in games. So yeah, it just made sense. And I went and searched it everywhere, and nobody had the name. So I went, great, gaming for XP will do, and that's where it came from. I did find the other day, strangely enough, because I searched for G4 XP. Actually, there's another guy that has a channel that has Arabic at the end that has G4 XP. So I don't know how long he's been up, but anyway.
But there can be only one.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, obviously a lot of people just call me G4 or Stu or Stewie or but that's sort of where the name came from. Just to describe what I actually do with gaming.
Have you been gaming since you were a child, or?
See, I'm older than dinosaurs, Mike, as you know. So,
right.
And I was thinking, and I thought you might hint on this that I was thinking about the other day. I do far too much thinking, by the way, guys. But I am of an age where I grew up without video games. Ooh, shocking. What? What's he talking about? Is it a parallel universe? No. Video games had not been invented when I was a kid. We actually had to get out on our bike and talk to people, and anyway. So I've been very blessed in that sense that I've watched the evolution of the industry from, Pong or Ping or whatever, right through. I remember some of the first games I ever played was a very similar game to Pong, tennis, which was two tanks, and it was a black and white screen, and the tanks had a kind of almost chalk outline, and he had to hit the other guy, and that was it. And then I've come up through the Space Invaders time, and then on to kind of PS1s and Sega Mega Systems and all that kind of stuff. So I've seen the whole kind of spectrum of when they first started doing this to today, and
Oh, they have come a long way.
it's astounding. It's like sometimes the video games of today, you're hard pressed to figure.
And being a gamer, like, attracted you.
It's something I've always done. I think, Mikey, it's something that I've always done. It's something I've always enjoyed in it, and I think in more recent years, the immersion of, and I know a lot of people talk about this, but it's very true. The immersion that it gives you into these fantastic worlds, and you can go and be a wizard for a while, Harry, or you can be this kind of soldier that just runs around and has god mode or whatever it might be, within the context of that game, and you can just go off and be in a fantasy world and relax and just have fun. And so that's why I love
the escapism.
Hey, I love gaming. It's just something that I've always done. Going back quite a while, and there'll be a number of people in the community who remember these types of games. I used to play these games that were all text based, and you had to follow the clues. And
Oregon Trail.
Somewhere down in my bookcase downstairs, there is a whole book where I remember one particular game, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was based on an island, and it was all text based. And I actually still have the drawing of the island. So as we went round, I drew the island and the points on the island, and so it was all with that kind of stuff.
For those of you who are too young to know what the hell he's talking about,
which is probably
go
most
watch
of you.
the go watch the beginning of the movie Big. And if you don't know what that movie is or ever heard of it, then I don't think you should be listening to this at all.
But yeah, it's just that escapism, and that everybody works hard for a living, and has those struggles in their life they have to encounter, and this gaming helps just de-stress you, I guess, and I think you and I have spoke about Fallout and how much it's almost like a meditation or de-stressor, or whatever you want to call it, but I get that from a lot of games.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on Meet the Neighbors right now.
Mm-hmm.
What made you think of to do this, and what about it do you really love? What's your favorite part of it?
Okay, so Meet Your Neighbours came from two places. One was Gary and Mikey's podcast, and if you haven't checked out those old podcasts, you really should. Local for Park, G'day Gary, how you doing? And Quick Smoke used to do a podcast, so that was number one. And how you and really how that you guys came to the community in the sense of how you did that. So that was number one. Number two, somebody did I think it was Ben Plays, did a review on Gaming for XP out of the blue. Had never spoke to Ben in the past. He'd found the channel and decided to do a review on it. So those two were two elements of how Meet Your Neighbours came together. At the same time, the whole thing was going on with YouTube and the ad or whatever it was called, adverts, and advertisers leaving YouTube because of suspect content, and then they changed the rules around the small content creators, and it became harder and harder for us to get our content to the masses. So there's kind of all those elements were happening all around the same time. So I looked at that, and I came up with the idea, and I think I approached you and Gary and said, look, this is the idea I've got. Part of it kind of uses your idea, the podcast. Do you mind if I do it? And you guys were really generous in saying, no, go for your life. So the initial Meet Your Neighbours was based around just taking people's channels, going to the channels, highlighting that they existed, giving them a few pointers that I thought they could do with their channel to help get more subscribers. That's where it started. As far as that goes, it was really a channel review segment. this year, as I said, I approached you guys and said, look, I want to take Meet Your Neighbours to a different space, a different kind of way of doing it. And so this year was more about, okay, where do we take Meet Your Neighbours from last year in reviewing people's channels? And it was, why don't we talk to people? Why don't we find out why they do YouTube? And also, it again, help to promote their channels. And that's what it's all about. It's to help the community, help promote their channels. I've been lucky enough to get to a certain point in subscribers, and in the big scheme of things, as far as YouTube goes, I'm on a small channel. But at the end of the day, if I can use my kind of footprint to help the guys that are coming up, then I love to do that. So all those kind of elements, and what I wanted to do with the segment this year as well was to bring some of the bigger YouTubers in the community onto the segment and get their knowledge to be shared and how they've gone about things and how they've managed to get into the thousands of subscribers. And I've got to say, I thank everybody that came onto the segment this year for giving up their time and their knowledge, and I never had anybody that turned around and said, no, I don't want to do this. So I'm really grateful for everybody that came on, and I'm even more grateful for the people that have taken the time to make comments and support the series, because I know it was very, very popular.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, let's put YouTube aside for a second here. Let's get back to G4 or Stewie or whatever you want to call him.
I've been called a lot worse, Mikey, so it's okay.
Is there something about you that you do, or about you personally, that nobody knows about, that you want to let them know about? Special talent, something. Give us some dirt.
You said you were going to make a wee spite, and you weren't kidding, were you, mate? I'm guys. I'm just trying to get some thinking time while I'm. There probably is, Mikey. There probably is, but I try to share as much as possible. And before I answer that, I've got to say that is one area of YouTube that has been a bit difficult to start with, is to kind of get your head around how much of your own personality and your own life that you want to share with people. And I think this year was the first year my head appeared on camera. And
I believe so, at the beginning of the year, yeah.
And that wasn't an easy thing to do. I didn't find that an easy thing. I think a lot of us as gamers are gamers, and we're introverted people. And as a YouTuber, you have to be more extroverted or outgoing. So gaming kind of gives us a release and somewhere to play. And so I'm unlucky that my personality type has both some introversion and extroversion in it. So it was a conscious decision for me to take the next step, and I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. It's sharing a lot of things with the community this year that I probably would not normally share. But one thing that you wouldn't know about me is I used to make a living being a DJ. There you go, that'll do.
Well, I knew that because, I mean, if you haven't noticed, when me and G4 stream together, he has a very, very wide knowledge of music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to let the people know something that they may not know, or they should know if you've ever watched mine and Stu's videos together, or any streams of history with G4 in it, is I know that G4 can play the instrument. And I'm not talking about his own. I'm talking about a guitar.
I'm multitasker who can play more than one instrument. Not for children.
I remember. I remember a few streams where you play. Oh, it was more of conversations that you'd be playing the guitar in the background.
Yeah, no.
And he's quite good at it.
Yeah, well, some of my first videos, probably in the first year, the music that you'll hear. So one of the things that I used to do is, and it was kind of had a mixed reception, is that I'd get to points in my Fallout 4 builds where it was kind of monotonous stuff. I didn't think it was really entertaining. So I used to speed it up, and I'd done all the music for it. Um, so I used to record all that kind of rock type music and put it in the background. So yeah, but I think a lot of people will know that I play guitar now. I didn't start playing guitar till I was in my early to mid 30s and self-taught. Thank you for the internet. The internet taught me how to play guitar. My kids might, my kids might disagree that because they had to go through me playing guitar badly, and yeah, with everything you do, you have to be bad at it before you're good at it. So there's a progression there. So they suffered the arrows and all the bum notes and everything. But yeah, I don't play a lot these days, and I think with any musical instrument you have to be practicing. Guitar, at least, you have to be practicing on a daily basis to be tight and good at it. But yeah, I pick it up every now and again, mate. Yeah.
Well, that's good. So, getting back to a little some gaming here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everybody knows you do your solo games where you like Wolfenstein and the Call of Duty mission line and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you also play with me in Borderlands 3, and you play with me and VG in Call of Duty
Mm-hmm.
multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer to game alone or with friends?
I think now that the industry has evolved to the point it has now, I think I'm greedy. I get to do both. I enjoy both equally. I think maybe, yeah, I'm probably more of a solo gamer than a co-op gamer, but I think that's more because it's only been in the last few years that we really have started to get an opportunity to actually play together. You know, Fallout 76 was one of those, Borderlands. And if you look at Borderlands 2 experience with co-op and you look at Borderlands 3 experience in co-op, they've refined it so much that you don't have the issues with co-op gaming that you used to. And I think because you used to have the server problems and one thing and another, it wasn't as viable to play game with other people as it is now. Obviously, Modern Warfare has taken it to a completely different level for us, and I hope that ends up being the industry standard as far as cross-platform goes, because I would love to play with a number of people in different games across platform, and I think 76 was the catalyst for that for me in the last couple of years, where we had you had the opportunity to get in and play with so many different people. Shout out to Sin City Boy, who's been with the channel since the start, and finally he had an opportunity to hop on when I was live streaming and play with me, and we had a ball. And to answer the question, I enjoy both, mate. I enjoy both. I'm probably more a solo gamer, but I think there's a transition there coming because of the way that the industry has evolved.
Do you think they'll keep evolving like that? Like, there'll be more and more multiplayer?
I think yes, but one of the things that I would say is, and maybe it's because I've grown up with gaming since day one, and maybe it's because of my age, but I'm kind of getting sick of every game that we buy being online, because as soon as PSN Network or Xbox Live goes down, your gaming console becomes a brick and you can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I mean, not to get too off the subject of you, because that's what this is all about, is you right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you're right. It's horrible because it's a vicious cycle of, like, you can't game unless you're online, and it's so expensive to be online nowadays, and games are getting more expensive. It's kind of a downfall of gaming.
Yeah. So it's, I love the fact that Outer Worlds is going, no co-op. It's a single player campaign. Get in and play it, which is against the kind of industry trend, if you like. Every we could have this and we could have battle royale and blah blah blah. I like the games that go against some of that to some degree, but also I'm sure that people listening also will agree with this. Is that there are days where you want to get in and play with other players, and there's other days where you just want to do a solo playthrough, and you don't want people jumping into your game, and that's where I find 76 transitional. But at the same time, it took me a while to get used to, because I wasn't used to having people in my game. I'm used to exploring and running around and blah blah blah, and so as I said earlier, I like having the option of both, but sometimes I'd like that option of saying either an offline version of it or being able to play through solo, and I'd still love that option. I guess you have got that option with private servers now with 76, but that's kind of where I sit with that, mate.
All right. I only got a couple more questions here, and then we can wrap this up. And we don't want to go on too long. What do you have planned for your channel in the future?
The channel, and you're about to see a video on Friday. Thanks for the segue, Mikey. I'll have a video coming up for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere on Thursday. It'll be Friday here in Sydney. Talking a little bit about that, but essentially, gaming for XP will need to evolve and change in 2020. And there's a few reasons for that. I want to get up and over that 1,000k subs. 1,000 subs, or 1k subscriber base. Once we get up over that, then the growth should come. So that's one of my focuses for next year. And to do that, I've got to change how I deliver the content on the channel. It's just, there's no way of getting around that. I need to change the way that I deliver the content. Number two, from February onwards, my job will change in real life, and so I'm going to have a lot less time to produce content. So I had a look at that, and I've got to move much more towards streaming and a lot less with edited videos. And also, I want to push the channel much more in direction of game guides, how-tos, that kind of stuff. Having said that, Fallout is still going to stay around. As long as you keep giving me ideas and keep directing me where you want me to build, that'll stay around. I did have a little break for Fallout earlier this year, and I've got to say, as soon as I put fixing up the Commonwealth back on the radar, the views and subs and everything have just gone through the roof. So it's just a necessary evolution of the channel, and you should, if you are a YouTuber, you need to be looking at this on virtually a month-to-month basis on what is working for you. And it's something Mike and I have spoke about it very early in the year, about what's your ambitions for the year, and then find that way of delivering content that works for your channel and that gets people to watch. So again, that's what's coming up in the new year, mate. Some of the channel favourites will be back, and then I would suspect that gaming play series will go onto streams now, and you'll get longer episodes of gaming plays, but it will be streamed. Mm-hmm. It will be streamed instead of various episodes for 3 or 4 months.
Getting back to something that you said a little earlier in the interview, you've been doing this for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it hard to stay motivated to continue through the struggle of getting the views and the traffic on your channel and coming up with fresh ideas? Do you have? Is there times when you just want to say fuck it and just not do it anymore? Or
absolutely, and it's funny, over the last 3 years, as soon as I start feeling like that, it's like some kind of weird transitional kind of, I don't know, telepathic thing. As soon as I start being a Debbie Downer, if you like, is what we call it in Australia. Um, the community reacts. It's a really strange thing that suddenly, I'm gonna, you know what? Nobody. Is anybody watching this? And suddenly the subs will go up, or somebody will make one comment on your video. Oh, you really helped me, or I couldn't figure this out, and that's enough to go. You know what? Thank you for kicking me in the butt and reminding me why I do this. And I'd like to take that a little bit further, because let me tell you, you're going to go through those times in your YouTube channel where, when YouTube does a little bit of a clean out and suddenly your subs drop and the views drop, and some of that is seasonal, some of that is YouTube just cleaning things out and one thing. You're going to go through that. You're going to go through that period where you're going to get dislikes on your videos. I had one guy the first year of my channel, one person. I didn't know it was a guy. I shouldn't assume it was. But through analytics, I could figure out that this person was in France. I could figure that he was part of the person was part of the Reddit Fallout 4 community, and I could figure out all kinds of other stuff. But every video that I posted was he would or she would put a dislike to it. Every single video. And it used to get me upset, and then I started to find it funny, because what you got to realize is that any activity is good activity for your channel, whether people are disliking it or liking it or making comments or whatever. It's all the way that YouTube looks at it. It looks at it positive. So, but when people don't like what you do, sometimes you take it personal, and try not to do that. I know it's not easy to do sometimes, but try not to do that. And at the end of the day, if I take my point of view is, if you don't like my videos, that's fine. Not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's going to like what I do. I understand that. If you dislike it, that's fine. Leave me a comment and tell me what it was that you didn't like, please. And I'll try and do a better job. But to answer your question, Mikey, yes, there are those times that you're going to go through where you just throw your arms up in there and go, this is all too hard. I'm deflated, and you just got to push through it. I take it as a challenge sometimes. Sometimes you get to that point. And I know this year has been incredibly hard for me, because as a number of people in the community would know, I got sick kind of early in the year, and I was sick for quite a progressive long period of time. Could not get rid of the flu, and then I had throat problems and one thing, and you get into a little bit of a spiral when that happens, and you get a little bit depressed and whatnot. But the community helped me. The community got behind me and said, no, we understand what's going on, we'll be here when you get back, and that's why it's important to build a good solid community around you, because those are the people that you can talk to when you're getting into that headspace, and they'll give you a point of view, honest point of view. And did that answer your question?
Awesome.
Did that answer your question?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. So, what do you find to be the hardest thing about being a YouTuber?
Figuring out what YouTube's actually doing.
Fair enough.
No, but I got to say, look, somebody said it the other day. I don't know whose video I was watching, but they said it the other day. They said, YouTube is a game. It was that one comment, and I kind of sat up and thought about that for a while and went, no, this guy's absolutely right. YouTube is a game, and they keep changing the rules. And you will get onto what you think will get and it's all about getting your content up the search ladder on YouTube, basically, so people can see your channel. And I don't know how many times I've had a comment, I've just found your channel, I wish I'd found your channel earlier. And it's all about people finding your channel. That's the key thing. And just when you think you've figured out what the algorithms are happening in the background of YouTube that will allow you to push your channel up the search ladder, they change it and they pull the rug out from you, and you've got to then go back and research it again and try and figure out what this month's flavour is and what you have to do. And so I think
and I won't talk about the biggest roadblock I got.
they won't tell you, and so and that's. But having said that, other YouTubers will, and they'll figure it out. And so that's the beauty of having YouTube, is that when you get to that point, you can actually search it, and you can get a whole lot of opinions, and you can try things and see what works for your channel. So, yeah, YouTube's the hardest thing about YouTube.
I'll agree with you. So that being said, what is the best advice? And I think you've probably already said it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is the best advice you can give an upcoming YouTuber who wants to be a G4 themselves?
I think I will, and G'day to Epic Hands. How you doing? He kind of got it for me. He synchronized it in his interview for me. Be yourself. Be yourself. That is why people will click on your videos. That's why people will come to your channel. If you are entertaining or you're informative or whatever it might be for your channel, that's why people will watch your videos. They come to listen to you, to see you entertain them. Be yourself, sell your personality. So that's the first thing. That's the first and most important thing. The second thing I'd say is always be looking to improve what you're doing. And that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but I've always been conscious of saying, okay, so I've got to this point with my videos and the quality that I'm putting out and the way I'm delivering content. How can I push that to the next level? Having your head on camera is one way of doing that. You know, building the look of the channel and how it is branded and the continuity of your branding and all that kind of stuff. Making better thumbnails, making a better channel banner. G'day to Chaos and Fallout if you're looking for channel banners. How are you, Dave? All of that kind of stuff makes a huge difference. New people come to your channel, they look at how your channel looks, and straight away they'll develop an opinion within 30 seconds. So the way that your channel looks and what it provides for them will tell them whether it's for them or not. So all that kind of stuff. But
I'm going to add actually a couple other things that you probably were going to touch on, but I'm going to cut you off and touch on it myself.
No problem.
Always acknowledge your viewers.
Yep, I agree.
And networking. Go to other people's streams. Say hi. Don't automatically be like, hey, I'm so-and-so, sub me.
Yep.
Get to know them. Be part of the community.
One of the things that I've done since day one, and what I used to do, and it's just a volume thing now, but I used to send a thank you to everybody that subscribed to my channel. I always reply to comments. Always. If you have taken the time, and my philosophy is, if you've taken the time and you've enjoyed the video to the point where you've taken the time to make a comment on my video, I will acknowledge that and I'll reply to it. And I think you're right, mate. I agree with you. You're entertaining people; they are supporting you. It's a partnership, and I love my subs. My subs are great fun. Some of them are questionable, like the interviewer, but they're good fun. No, I'm kidding. Mikey and I have known each other for a few years.
My personality, but come on now.
Mikey and I have done. If you haven't picked up on our streams, man, I think that's why people come to our streams, because you'll find people within life and within your community that you and I just click, and it just works for us, and we're funny without thinking about being funny. Things just happen.
Well, that's because you're my soulmate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, back rub. Remember, you haven't done that this week yet. But
all right, I'll get to that later after the interview. All right, so I think my final question is going to be, and this is something I've always asked anybody I've interviewed. Mm-hmm. If not me, then Gary has asked it. Mm-hmm. if you were to make a video game yourself,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what kind would it be?
Mm-hmm.
What genre? What would you do in it? What would you name it?
Ooh, I think you've already asked me this and I couldn't answer it. It would be an open world game, so there'd be lots of quests in it, lots of side quests. It would have the level of brutality and cynical humor that something like a Borderlands or a Fallout would have. It would be a shooter. You would definitely have huge amount of guns to play with. All the characters would have to wear kilts. No, I'm kidding. That could be a thing. What era or genre it would be? I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure on that. But I would take lots of different elements. Oh, you'd have to do some looting because who doesn't like a bit of looting? Not that we're addicted.
Oh, yeah.
Not that we're addicted to looting or anything, but you just got to pick up that completely useless thing that you know is going to make you incumbent, but you need the screws out of it. So we need to have looting in the game. It has to have some decent driving mechanics because the vehicles would just be like Mad Max craziness. And maybe in Australia, maybe the background would be an Australian open world. Maybe a mix between Worlds from Australia and Scotland open world game, which would have an online component, but it would also have a solo campaign. And I don't know what I'd call it. Okay, gaming. I don't know what I'd call it. So it would be that kind of game.
It'd be G4 Walkabout.
It's probably a rubbish answer, but that's as good as you're gonna get at this late stage in the day.
I'll accept. I would buy that game.
Right, yeah, I would go around and I'd take all the components that I like out of the games that I've played and loved, and that type out. I tell you what, the one game that did surprise me this year was Far Cry 5. How much I loved that game. And so it'd be something in that kind of space somewhere, and it'd be I'd make squillions from it.
Well, that happens to be. No, I got one more.
Oh, one more time.
Are you a country man or a city man?
Yes.
All right. That's all, folks.
I got to say, we talked very early in the conversation about where I grew up and the journey I've had to where I live now. And when I first came to Sydney, I thought it was fantastic. It was just that whole bright lights. There's so much going on. The pace is so fast. As you get older, that gloss wears off a little bit when you have to sit in traffic for a couple of hours and stuff like that. But anyway, I like them both. I actually love going home. And the first thing I'll do when I get home is I'll drive up into the hills overlooking the wee town I grew up in, and I'll just sit there. And it's amazing when you live in a city that you do not realise how much constant noise there is until you go to the country. And I'll go up there and it'll just be virtually silent. And I've always loved just watching the world go by and seeing what's going on. I love watching people. I've always been a people watcher. And I've always loved listening to people's stories, and I tend to get those people on trains and buses for something. There's some invisible tattoo on me that they kind of come and talk to me, but anyway. So
I know that feeling.
So I've got to say, I'm probably more a country boy than a city boy, but I've evolved if my mates would call me a city dweller now. So there you go.
All right. Well, you know what? That's all my questions for you. Is there any last thing you would like to say to your neighbors?
I would like to say, number one, thank you so much, Mikey, for agreeing to do this. We kind of floated this idea a couple of days ago, and here we are. So thank you so much for
Oh,
agreeing, and you've done a great job, Mike. Thank you so much.
oh,
Um,
thank you.
and I'd just like to say thank you to all the subscribers for supporting me. It still blows me away why 700 plus of you would want to listen to Gaming for XP on a regular basis, but there you go. Thank you so much. I feel so humbled by it, and I'm grateful every day that you guys are part of the community here at Gaming for XP, and I wish you all a safe and drunken holiday season. There you go, Mike.
Well said. Well said. So I will say on that, if you liked this interview, hit that like button, and if you're just finding G4 for the first time, subscribe to them. Tell a friend to subscribe to them. They'll be better friends to you for it. They'll be better friends to G4 about it. They'll be better friends for all of us about it. Have a good one.
See ya.